Welcome to Jurassic World.
Guests, welcome to the Jurassic World Minute, where we visit Jurassic World 1 minute at a time. Everyone knows tapping on the glass won't attract an animal. I'm Brad.
And Dave.
And today we're going to discuss Minute 35 of Jurassic World. Before we get to that, Dave, we're going over to Jurassic-Pedia.com. We mentioned last minute there's been a few articles going up post Camp Cretaceous with some of the characters, and one article that's gone up this week as well by Sickleclaw is the field genetics lab that we see in the cartoon. Now, you have seen the whole 8 episodes now, correct?
I have watched all 8 episodes by now, yes.
All right.
In fact, I watched them again last night.
Oh, even better. Even better, you can fill in some gaps. The field genetics lab right up here by Sickleclaw has a bit of a brief mention about its appearance in Camp Cretaceous. I haven't seen this episode back since. Looking at the photo on the article here, its architecture looks very similar to what we see in Evolution with the building.
It does look similar to that, and I was also going to say it kind of reminds me of the genetics lab / helipad control room area on the main park area.
Ah, yes.
You know, where, I mean, how it kind of has that rounded side on the underside there.
Yeah, yep, which would clearly indicate that's of Jurassic World architecture and not Jurassic Park. One thing I did want to discuss briefly with this is, David, you posted up on the Pedia discussion Facebook page the research signs. We see one in episode 1, the kids drive past on their way to camp, and it's very similar to one we see in Jurassic World where the raptors are chasing after Claire and the kids in the Unimog.
Similar, yes, but not the same. Interestingly, the one in Jurassic World looks to be Jurassic Park era, if only because the island shape itself uses the Jurassic Park brochure map, and not the general Isla, Nublar, Jurassic World shape that they kind of use on the maps and all the visuals that we see of the island.
Yeah, so you have the same backing map layout as what the East Dock sign would have had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so the research sign that we see here in Camp Cretaceous, that one also appears to be brand new, or at least newish, while the one in Jurassic World was covered in vines and clearly had not been paid any attention to in a very long time.
Yeah, going back to Jurassic World, I remember Colin clearly saying that the East Dock sign wasn't in the film because he went for this one instead, just to show that there was more to Jurassic Park than what we've seen, just trying to expand the world of Isla Nublar, of what we didn't see in that original film, even though we didn't really get much of that expansion in the films to date, apart from maybe the tunnels. But would this suggest that there was possibly these little research labs on Nublar even back in '93, even though by 2015 sauna was a thing?
I would imagine so, yeah, if only because I know for a fact that Trevorrow kind of considers the Jurassic Park the game to be at least partially canon, And we do see in that one that Dr. Sorkin has a remote research lab.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder... Because in hindsight, it is a lot easier and quicker for scientists to just drive down the road to a separate lab than get on a boat and go across to Sauna, when its main focus would probably be just production, even though we have speculated on the horticulture and everything else that may have been going on over there as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, interestingly is that this remote lab actually seems to be using a actual production. It's turning eggs, hatching animals, and it's not just the main park anymore actually doing the work. It looks like that if they're assuming this isn't the only one, Wu has remote research facilities like this one where he can kind of just test different areas and maybe even do like kind of test and release to see how the animals fare on the island, you know?
Can't recall if it's one of the children or if it's Wu himself saying that there's several of these around the island. I can't remember if I heard that in the series or not.
I know I said that I just watched it last night, but I'm already drawing a blank, and I can't remember if it was Yasmina who said it or Wu. But yeah, it does kind of sound familiar.
Yeah. It is interesting, some of the stuff inside that lab, but again, it's spoiler, we'll get to that in the discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, head over to Jurassic Pedia for this article and many more. As I said before, most of the character cast list all have articles up there now, or listings in the encyclopedia, so head over and check them out.
Yep.
We'd like you to evaluate the paddock for vulnerabilities.
Why me?
I guess Mr. Mizrani thinks since you're able to control the raptors...
See, it's all about control with you. I don't control the raptors. It's a relationship. It's based on mutual respect.
All right, Dave, ready to look into minute 35?
I am.
As we're in minute 34 of Jurassic World, Alan was telling Claire these raptors were born up in a family, and that there's trust. As we open on minute 35, Alan points out the window. The only relationship this animal has is with that crane. At the 9-second mark, Claire jokes, so she needs a friend playdate? Alan replies, probably not a good idea. At the 19-second mark, Claire taps the glass and asks herself, where is it? Alan jokes, what is it, in the basement? In the rec room? At the 30-second mark, Claire walks to the second podium in the observation room and pushes some buttons. All of a sudden, the monitor beeps. Behind the paddock supervisor, more monitors buzz as no thermal radiation detected warnings flash on the screen. At the 49-second mark, Owen's moved to the other end of the room and asks, have those claw marks always been there? Pointing to the wall outside. And as the minute ends, Claire slowly walks towards him and mouths, do you think it? And this ends minute 35 of Jurassic World.
As we open on minute 35, Owen continues about the social skills his raptors have and imprinting on them when they're born, and the only positive relationship this animal's had is with that crane, and at least she knows that means food. We've talked with over minutes before the mosasaur knowing that this shark means food, or this gantry, and the tyrannosaur knowing the flare means food. Well, here's another little thing I thought would have come back in the film. Crane means food.
I think that originally, as scripted, it originally was meant to, because something that Trevorrow had wanted to do was have a crane rigged as like an animatronic T-Rex, wherein the CGI Indominus would then destroy this animatronic T-Rex, kind of symbolizing Trevorrow's feelings on how CGI kind of just has destroyed practical effects in film. And of course Universal wouldn't let him do that.
There's concept art for that, isn't there?
There is, yes.
Yeah.
And I doubt that it's so much because of the analogy that he had, but rather the visual of the T-Rex dying again, which I'm quite certain Universal at this point wants to stay very far away from. I don't think it'd be good on I don't think Universal was ready for another giant theropod to destroy a T-Rex animatronic.
Well, yeah, even though how much they're really shitting on the T-Rex at the moment, and again we'll talk about Cramped Cretaceous later. Yeah, just going after that again. Fair enough. We didn't see the Spinosaur rip the head off the T-Rex. We know it happened. It destroyed that animatronic. But now you've probably got twice as many fans in the community that was here, or that wasn't here in 2001, that would be very vocal online about the not only the Tyrannosaur being killed again, but the Tyrannosaur animatronic, which we all sort of grew to love as the Tyrannosaur in Jurassic Park and the Lost World.
Yep.
Claire sort of mocks Owen, so she needs a friend. Scheduled play dates, that sort of thing. And it's about now you can sort of, she's starting to realise that the animal hasn't come out to feed yet. Owen grimly replies, probably not a good idea, which I think was another trailer line as well.
Yeah, well, that one definitely was. The other thing is that just the assumption that the Indominus will come to the steer hide there that they have propped on the crane seems to seem to imply that the Indominus has never really not been interested in food before. I mean, she's always... This presumption that you can make her appear just by dropping some food seems to imply that they've never actually had the animal not appear by dropping food.
Yeah, and it might also lead to Claire's...
She expects its instant arrival.
Yeah, just the assumption that this dumb animal will come whenever I put food down. Interesting it sits here, attracting it for Owen and not for Masrani earlier, where in the novel it was actually dropped for Masrani, and that's when she ate the steer.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the novel anyway, here there's no steer being dropped. So
we also know that at some point in the script that this was also going to be Hamada's introduction, the head of the ACU in Jurassic World. He would have been in the scene as well. Or at least that scene earlier, I think, where Masrani has the steer dropped for him, and I think was it? Yeah, it was Mr. Masrani. I think it was Dino. Wasn't it like Mr. Saurian or something like that at the time?
In the early script.
Yeah, it was like really, yeah. I'm glad they didn't go with that. But yeah, they originally. And I think Masrani mentions that you're not feeding it anything live, and Hamada comes up and says you don't want to feed this thing anything live. When it gets blood, first time it tastes blood, it's gonna go nuts.
Yeah.
And so I remember that script page being one of the ones that leaked early on and kind of hyped the fans up for this character of Hamada, who unfortunately just. He ends up with one line in the movie.
He's in the same boat, or nearly the same boat as Barry and a few others that just, are poorly used in the film.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder here if that would go sort of too much against Owen's character. Owen's the one here telling us how bad this all is. It's a shame some of those lines he didn't keep, like feeding it live animals. Mm-hmm. Especially later when she gets out and she's seen all this for the first time, and she's attacking everything that comes before her. And then that's when Claire does the one thing that never attracts animals at a zoo. She taps on the glass, asking to herself, "Where is it?"
Please do not tap on the glass. It scares the engineers.
The amount of times at a zoo, hey, come over here.
Well, they had that sign there. I was at the Field Museum yesterday with my little cousin.
Yep.
And so there's a sign. They have an area there where you can actually watch the people digging and excavating the fossils out of the rock, right? And so they had two signs. One of them was this facility has been accident-free of velociraptors for... it was that meme.
Yeah.
I can't remember what exactly it said. if this facility has been velociraptor attack free for like 65 million years, was one of them. And the other one was, please do not tap on the glass. It scares the diggers.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, mate, I've seen some of those photos you posted up yesterday. Owen turns to joke, is it in the basement, downstairs? Maybe it's in the rec room. So maybe again hinting to the tunnel system. I don't know if that's a subtle hint to it or it is just a joke.
I think he was just kind of being sarcastic. Because Claire is kind of clearly expecting it to show up right away, and Owens just seems to be very highly unimpressed with the entire concept.
And that's when she starts to fret a bit. She walks over to the second podium screen. It was just here. We were just here. And she starts pushing some buttons on the monitor, and the monitors around her start buzzing. Mm-hmm. Beside her, you can see those screens light up. No thermal signature detected. I find this dumbfounding that the only way they're tracking this thing in the pen is via thermal imaging. On location, anyway. She does say next minute that she can track it from the control room, which is even worse. But yeah, we've talked before about overpopulating your enclosures with greenery and ferns to hide or let these animals hide. I don't know how well a thermal camera would work in a tropical jungle anyway.
Well, the human body runs 98.6, and I assume that it regularly gets higher than that in the tropics. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Velociraptor in the first movie, the baby, I think they said it ran a constant temperature of like 96 degrees or something like that. So yeah, probably not very useful when your animal is colder than the surrounding area.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Yeah, and that starts to go into the Indominus' plan for escape that is going to stretch over these few minutes. Being able to camouflage one thing, yes, that's why they can't see it. Again, without sort of knowing specifics of its makeup and all that stuff, only what we've been told or shown on screen. The ability to camouflage is just that, the ability to camouflage its skin, even though shots later it does seem to actually go invisible and not just match its surroundings.
Well, the other thing is that she says she can track her from the control room, but as many people have pointed out, in all realism, she should have just gotten on the phone and called the control room, you know? And that would have avoided them having to even go into the paddock. Yeah,
well, we're going to go into this in future minutes. The animal has to escape, and it's the plot that we need. Here we are, we're 35 minutes into the film, and nothing's really happened, apart from a packy being on the loose, but I don't like the way this is done. As we sort of go further here, the search for the Indominus fails as the computer screens keep on buzzing. The staff member, which is described in the book as the paddock supervisor, he shakes his head and finishes his sandwich. It doesn't make any sense. These gates haven't been opened in weeks, which makes me wonder why the gates were opened a few weeks ago. They tranked her and went in to clean the pen or something. There's been people in there.
Well, I'm sure they probably have to clear out the steer bones every once in a while. We do see some bones lying around in the paddock itself, and I assume that if they fed this thing regularly, there'd be a lot more bones, you know? So they probably go in there to, as you say, clean it up. They have to do that with all animals.
Yeah, bones and poop. You send the bobcat in there to clean it up. So yeah, she must be getting tranked regularly so they can go in there. As all this is going on and Claire's looking confused at the monitors, Owen sort of walks over to the far side of the observation room and says, "Oh, shoot." Keeping it PG there, of course, and he points out the window and asks, have those claw marks always been there? We won't see those claw marks until next minute, but as this minute ends, Claire starts slowly walking over and mouths, "You think it." Has the realisation she's got the idea here that it's escaped. Again, we'll go into more of that in the next minute, but just the intelligence here of the Indominus not only knowing that they're tracking her through thermal, just camouflaging is one thing, but masking your thermal signature, knowing that there's thermal cameras there tracking you, is just one step beyond insanity for the film. Even in future minutes too, where we do get the control room trying to communicate with the pen, PA intercom systems being scratchy, broken, all the tropes of the kids' cell phones won't work when they're being stalked by a serial killer or what have you. We get most of it in this film, which is a shame. But we might have a little exercise coming up and just see if we can come up with a better, instead of just mocking it completely, see if we can come up with a better idea of having her escape.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I mentioned before, there was the one with the claw marks where the fans assumed that she simply climbed out of there, which, in theory, if they are raising the pen, it would kind of give credence to why they are raising the pen. If there are fears that she could possibly climb out, and then she eventually does, you know, like it's an eventuality, kind of a chaos theory thing.
Yeah, if she does have the accelerated growth as well, she's growing in there faster than they can put the walls up.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's gonna, they say she's going to be 50 feet, so we don't know exactly how big she is in the film, but whether she has the ability to be able to rear up on that wall and get a purchase. We'll talk about it next minute, but I think if she actually did go over the wall, there'd be a lot less destruction there. You'd see it on the ground.
The other thing is, if she can simply scratch the walls, there's probably a way for her to actually puncture them entirely with her talons, you know?
Well, that's the other thing. It's fairly thick at the bottom, but you go up near the top couple of sections of that wall, and it's only a single layer of concrete divider there. So, yeah, we'll look at that further. Moving over into the novel comparisons quickly. When when Claire's talking about the play dates, and Owen says it's probably not a good idea, is running his hands over the smashed window that we've seen early in the observation room, and in the back corner, the paddock supervisor is reading a magazine. He checked the monitors but didn't see the red outline of the animal anywhere, and then he mutters, "Oh boy." So a little bit different there with the paddock supervisor reading a magazine instead of eating.
I do like the running the hands over the smashed windows, though, because that kind of makes it look more like he's actually inspecting the paddock as he's supposed to be, not just kind of there joking around, you know?
Well, whole